Hey y'all, this is Marley K. Hope you all are well. Gotta go over this just for GP, just to say we want to be ahead of the power curve. Talk to my people here in the States, but also, people who may follow me all over the globe because we're all going to be dealing with this. And I find this particular topic very interesting, being that the devices of the adversary are meeting all week in Davos, Switzerland. I did a video on that earlier this week, maybe over the weekend. And I want to follow it up because I want to talk about these diseases that I'm not going to really be able to talk about. I want to try to keep this on the YouTube channel. And hopefully people can share it out over the algorithms, but I don't know how it's going to go. So it looks like this disease X is not necessarily a disease. It is going to be one of several diseases. And because two particular diseases, it looks like, have been added into our national, when I say our, I'm talking about America's um, National Preparedness Act for Public Health. I'm going to assume that these are two of the viruses that we're going to have to keep an eye out for. So I'm just trying to put some pieces of the puzzle together. So bear with me. This story came from Fortune. It came out on January the 12th, 2024, which was just a few days ago. And it is presented by who? CVS Health. This is Fortune Well, so this is supposed to be the health section of Fortune magazine. But I also view this in the way that I view the Economist magazine's covers. These are telegraphs. These are not just random stories. They're placed there for a reason, to warn certain people, to be symbols and signs and codes for those who laugh at us and mock us because we don't pay attention and don't really know what they're talking about. They do stuff in our faces and we don't really pay attention to it. And so now that we are awakened, a lot of us are awakened in this community. Say that, in this community. We don't always catch all the things because so much stuff is going on. So this is something that I want to talk about because it's going to be vitally important that we pay attention to the origins of things, how things are spread, and you have to read between the lines about what things are, where the origins, how they are spread, how they can be treated holistically, and then the solutions that the man in them got for us that we definitely should not be running to get. This is a heads up. If you think you're going to be able to trust your healthcare providers, if you've seen what happened over the last 3 years, and how folks just go along to get along. Folks go along to get their paycheck. Folks go along to keep their licenses and hospital privileges so they can pay for their homes and their lifestyles and their whatever else they're keeping up at your expense. We need to really pay attention to the sick care system that we have. I'm not going to call it health care because it's not that. And we also need to be aware of the enemy's devices because he has many and he uses lots of people to employ them. All the devices will be employed by human beings because that is what we are connected to. A lot of us are more connected to people than we are connected to our spirits and the spirit from the Creator or the Most High. So, you're gonna have to read between the lines on this one. This is a read between the lines. Okay. Disease X could cause the next panny, according to the organization that makes the owl sound. How do they know? How do they know? Or Ebola, SARS, or Nipah. 9 pathogens researchers are keeping a watchful eye on. Okay. This is going to be a long video, so if you don't like long videos, you may have to take this in bite-sized pieces. Okay, it says the annual meeting of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, to be held in Davos, Switzerland this week, is on more radars than usual this year, thanks to the name of one of the sessions, Preparing for Disease X. So they're letting us know that they know we looking at them. Yes, what they're saying. What is Disease X? And also keep in mind that this is in Fortune magazine. It's for rich people, people who have money, people who work in management, people who work for Fortune 500 companies, people who invest money, people who have asset management firms. It's not for the average Joe. So you got to keep that in mind when I'm reading this. This magazine is not for everybody. People, the average person doesn't read Fortune magazine. So the audience that they're talking to ain't you. Okay? Especially African American black people. They definitely ain't talking to us. But that's why I'm looking, because I know they ain't never talking to us. What is Disease X? Disease X, according to the World Health Organization, represents the knowledge that a serious international epidemic could be caused by a pathogen currently unknown to cause human disease. We are, anyway. Indeed, the organization's head, Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus will speak at the event, in addition to Michael Demare, chair of the board of AstraZeneca, Brazil Minister of Health Nisa Trinidade Lima, and Jamil Edmond Anderlini, editor-in-chief of Politico Europe, among others. The run-of-the-mill pandemic preparation session was blown out of proportion late this week, leading to the phrase Disease X trending on both Twitter and Google at times. Right-wing social media accounts slammed the session, charging that world leaders would convene to discuss plans to impose BAP mandates, restrict free speech, and even plan the pandemics themselves. On Thursday night, former Trump-era Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs for the U.S. Treasury Department and Fox News analyst Monica Crowley tweeted a baseless warning that unelected globalists at the World Elected Forum will hold a panel on a future pandemic 20 times deadlier than COVID. Just in time for the election, a new contagion to allow them to implement a new World Health Organization treaty, lock down again, restrict free speech, and destroy more freedom, she wrote. Sound far-fetched? So did what happened in 2020. Dr. Amish Adalja, senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, tells Fortune that those in the medical and public health professions have always conducted thought experiments and tabletop exercises to prepare for pandemics. These exercises serve the vital function of identifying strengths and weaknesses, as well as highlighting important aspects of response that merit further refinement, he says. Now, take into consideration all the different nations that are being devices for the adversary. Also, take into consideration that the institutions that are pre-gaming are Children of the Corn organizations. Israel ain't got nothing to do with it. So this is why all the nations is going to be judged, because they're always doing something with the explicit intent on harming us. And I'm going to show you in a little bit. To arbitrarily suggest these exercises and meetings are part of some kind of conspiracy evades the actual purpose they serve and the problems on which they are trying to gain traction, all for the nihilistic purpose of compromising pandemic preparedness and brazen pandering, he added. They always throw the rock and hide the hand, always act like they ain't did nothing. They always try to act like we don't have no memory, always acting like they didn't lie to us and they don't lie to us. So, whatever. There have been multiple such events in recorded history, and the recent coronavirus pandemic taught us that rapid response can save millions of lives, he said. Coordination of public health response is not a conspiracy, it's simply responsible planning. Such meetings should be publicized because such planning requires oversight, appreciation for personal impact on personal and economic freedom, and impact on special populations. Ooh, it sounds so prepared. Ooh. It makes good sense for a global public health organization, scientific leaders, and interested private individuals to be involved. See, they always manage to make this stuff sound so good. That's why you have to make sure. And I'm going to tell y'all something. We're going to treat this just like we treat dating a man or a woman. When the words and the actions and the behavior don't line up, that is chaos. And therefore, somebody is lying. There's something not right. Somebody's trying to gaslight you, and you need to be aware. You in the very least, need to keep watch. If you have good common sense, you turn around and walk away. Come out of her, my people. So I'm going to use that analogy for this particular story. The WHO's priority pathogens, aside from disease X, and I don't think disease X is actually a disease. I think it might be a combo of some of these things they already have prepared, or it could be one of the things that are already listed and they just call it X because they don't know which one they're going to put out on us. The WHO maintains a list of priority pathogens that pose the greatest public health risk due to their epidemic potential and or whether there are no or insufficient countermeasures available. Last updated in 2018, an updated list was expected last year and is now expected during the first half of 2024, according to the group. This article will be included in the comment section of this video. I'm not going to put it in the description because sometimes when I put these things in the descriptions, the algorithms won't share the videos. The algorithms are really working diligently to suppress most of my content. So I figure I must be talking about something they care about. Ebola and Marburg virus diseases. Okay, so viruses in this family cause hemorrhagic or bloody fevers, which are typically accompanied by bleeding from bodily orifices and or internal organs. The family consists of 5 strains of Ebola, in addition to Marburg, an extremely similar virus that made headlines during an outbreak in Equatorial Guinea earlier this year. On average, Ebola kills about 50% of those it sickens, though case fatality rates have ranged from 25 through 90%, according to the WHO. Marburg also kills around 50% of those it infects, though case fatality rates range from around 24% to 88%, experts say. While there are 2 licensed vaccines for the deadliest strain of Ebola, Zaire, there aren't any for the 4 other strains. Okay. Nor is there an approved lollipop for Marburg, though some are in development. Mm, see, see where I'm going? Okay, all right. Stay with me, y'all. Stay with me. Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. Like Ebola and Marburg, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic illness that can cause bleeding from bodily orifices. Symptom onset is sudden and can include fever, muscle ache, dizziness, neck pain, backache, headache, sore eyes, light sensitivity. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and sore throat may also occur, followed by sharp mood swings and confusion. 2 to 4 days later, agitation may turn into sleepiness, depression, and lassitude. Abdominal pain may concentrate in the upper right quadrant, and the liver might become enlarged, according to the WHO. Other symptoms may include fast heart rate, enlarged lymph nodes, and a petechial rash caused by bleeding into the skin on internal mucosal surfaces like the mouth and throat and on the skin. The rash may grow. Hepatitis is usually present, and after the fifth day of illness, patients may suffer the failure of organs like kidneys, livers, or lungs. The case fatality rate for this illness spreads by ticks. Remember that movie, Leave the World Behind? That boy got bit by something, and then all his teeth and stuff started falling out, and he had a fever. And spread by ticks in the tissue of infected animals during and after slaughter is around 30%. Most patients who die do so in the second week of the illness. Those who recover generally begin to improve after the ninth or 10th day of illness. Lassa fever, like Ebola and Marburg. Notice they keep on talking about these same two at the beginning of these things now, okay? And Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever. Lassa fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic illness, but with a case fatality rate of 1%, it's far less deadly. The vast majority of those infected with Lassa fever, 80%, have no symptoms. For the other 20%, disease is severe. Symptoms usually start with nonspecific ailments, not unlike COVID or the flu, fever, weakness, and malaise, and then progress to headache, sore throat, muscle pain, chest pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, cough, and stomach pain. Facial swelling, collection of fluid in the lung cavity. Notice that's what happened during COVID. Folks start getting having respiratory issues, and their lungs were filled with fluid. And low blood pressure, same thing, may develop in addition to shock, seizures, tremor, disorientation, and coma. Multiple organs are often damaged. Those who survive may suffer from temporary or permanent deafness in addition to transient hair loss and gait disturbance. Those who die of the virus usually do so within 2 weeks of onset, according to WHO. 80% of pregnant women in their third trimester who are infected die in addition to their fetus. Rodents carry the virus and also shed it in their urine and feces. SARS, we already know about SARS. Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. We already know about that. I'm not reading that. We already know about COVID. Nipah, and I will include the link in the comment section so that you can read this for yourself. I will also recommend that you go to multiple medical resources, governmental and otherwise, and do your own research on all of these viruses, and then look for solutions to help yourself should you come in contact with them, any of them. Can't be prepared for some. You got to do your research and be proactive and try to, know about all of them. Seems like they're getting ready to do the 1-2 whammy on us. So you don't know what's gonna be out here. Could be two, could be one, could be all of them. It could be letting stuff loose on different continents in different cities. You don't know. What you do know is ain't nobody gonna help you, especially if you're a Negro, especially if you're black, especially if they know who you are and you are an Israelite, one of those from the tribes scattered all over the earth. So I anticipate the adversary is going to be doing his business, and so y'all need to be on y'all's business. Nipah is a henipavirus, never heard of it, the most lethal of paramyxoviruses. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It was first identified in pigs in Malaysia and Singapore in the late 1980s, though its natural reservoir is fruit bats. The other henipavirus known to infect people, Hendra, was first noted in racehorses and in humans in Australia in 1994. Both feature respiratory illnesses and severe flu-like symptoms and may progress into encephalitis, which is a encephalitis, inflammation of the brain, along with other neurologic symptoms and death. Nipah kills between 45 and 75% of the people it infects. No licensed vaccines exist, though a vaccine by Moderna, in coordination with the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Vaccine Research, is being evaluated. How timely. And that is where Dr. Fauci used to work. I'm going to just leave that there. That's the organization that he led for decades. Rift Valley fever. This virus is known for causing massive devastation among livestock. While it can be transmitted from animals to other animals and to humans as well, it's not known to transmit from humans to other animals. But with viral evolution, that could change. Human infections occur through inoculation, for instance, via a wound through an infected knife or through broken skin. Humans can also be infected via aerosols produced during the slaughter of infected animals. Human infections, that means people who work in meat processing plants or meat, who process meat, flesh. Human infection may also be possible through drinking unpasteurized or uncooked milk of infected animals. So seems like they're gonna try to get us to the cows, and the cows gonna need to be wiped out. And goats, because they fart and increase the carbon emissions, and so the goal is to get rid of those things. Just gotta stay with me, folks. Stay with me. Additionally, human infection could occur through the bites of infected mosquitoes and blood-feeding flies. Have mercy. So you got to have your doggone skin covered and protected to keep from getting bit by the critters outside. Most infected humans don't develop symptoms. If they do, cases are mild. Symptoms include the onset of flu-like fever, muscle pain, joint pain, and headache. Neck stiffness, light sensitivity, appetite loss, and vomiting are also possible. Such cases may be mistaken for meningitis. Around 3% of the cases will develop severe disease and less than 1% will die. Severe disease will usually take one of the three forms: ocular meningioencephalitis, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and hemorrhagic. Ooh, this is terrible. So I guess it's gonna be get it like meningitis. You're gonna bleed to death, or I think ocular is like through your eyes. I don't know. But anyway, I don't even think this is for us. I think this is for the animals. Um, and the Zika. we already know how Zika um, was spread through the mosquitoes. So it says Zika virus related microcephaly was once declared a PHEIC by the WHO from February through November 2016. Most of those who infected with the virus transmitted primarily by Aedes mosquitoes don't develop symptoms. Those who usually do experience rash, fever, conjunctivitis, muscle and joint pain, malaise, and headache for 2 to 10 days. More troubling, infection during pregnancy can result in infants with congenital malformations, in addition to early birth and miscarriage. Now, I lived in Florida during this time when they had this, and only Hispanic women or people of Spanish or South American descent seem to be impacted by this virus. And a lot of pregnant women were having deformed babies during this time. And this was a time when they had released these mosquitoes out. And the mosquitoes allegedly had this stuff in it. So I'm just saying, y'all, they finna tear our asses up. They telling us in Fortune magazine how it's gonna happen. So you're gonna have to put your thinking caps on and figure out this stuff. But I want to share a couple of other things with you before I end this video. So if you go to the NIAID, which is the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, where Dr. Fauci used to work, if you look up Ebola and Marburg, it gives you a history of where these things come from. And so when you know where they come from, you have to be questioning how they get here, how they get in a lab, who knew about them. And then everything points back to the children of the corn and the Khazars. So, this is why we have to really be on our P's and Q's and be following. You just got to use your common sense right now. And you got to believe in truth. So this is stuff that's on their website. Before I leave these pages, I'm going to save them because they are subject to be gone tomorrow. After I do this video, they'll erase stuff and then they'll have you looking like you crazy. So from now on, and I strongly recommend this, if you're doing some research and you find something, you better save stuff as a PDF and put it someplace because that stuff could easily be erased. And now so much stuff is hidden. You'll do research, you'll go someplace today, your computer will shut down and you'll start it back up and you can't find a page no more. I can't tell you how many times that has happened to me over the last 7-8 years. So it's happening a lot more frequently now. And I just strongly recommend if you go to these pages, if you use these links, save the information so that you can not only verify that you did look at it, not know you were crazy, but also you can maintain any changes that are made because I anticipate changes are going to be made just like they were during the last event. So Ebola is a serious and often fatal illness caused by a virus. Several viruses can cause Ebola disease in humans, including Ebola virus and Sudan virus. Symptoms of Ebola include fever, headache, muscle pain, weakness, fatigue, diarrhea, vomiting, stomach pain, and severe bleeding and bruising. More broadly, Ebola virus and Sudan virus are part of the Filoviridae family, which also includes the viruses which cause Marburg disease. There are 2 known viruses which can cause Marburg in humans and non-primates. Like Ebola, Marburg symptoms can include fever, muscle aches, weakness, diarrhea, and vomiting, and severe bleeding. In severe cases, Marburg can be fatal. Cases of Ebola and Marburg viruses disease are rare, but outbreaks occasionally arise in Africa, where the viruses circulate amongst some populations of animals, such as bats. Humans can acquire Ebola viruses and Marburg viruses from infected animals or from other people. When spreading between humans and when spreading between humans, both Ebola and Marburg are transmitted through direct contact with the bodily fluids such as blood or mucus of an infected person. So this is really important for y'all to pay attention to because it's not going to be like an airborne virus. So now they got people walking around, not saying that we don't have to worry about the existing pathogens or bioweapons that are out there, but now you got to worry about exchanging of bodily fluids. And so with a lot of these new viruses that are allegedly on the watch list, they're going to be transmitted very much like HIV and STDs. So this is important for people who are single, if you are sexually active and or promiscuous, doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you have unprotected sex. Um, if you work in fields where you work with people and their bodily fluids, spray, you know, your pink parts exposed could cause you to be exposed to these viruses. Those could be, and I'm just going to be very blunt because I used to work in HIV and AIDS. So any pink parts, your eyes, the inside of your nose, inside of your mouth, your gums, your tongue, um, any open sores, any open wounds on your body where your inside of your flesh is exposed, your vagina, your penis, the inside of your penis, the little hole, the little tip inside there where the little pink is, that part, your anus, um, and any pink part, anything on your body that is open and can easily contract this virus can lead you to be exposed, and which is why I always I use sex as an example because that's one way people can imagine it. And I use HIV because everybody, you know, who is of some age can recall when that epidemic hit the scene and how it hit the gay community, alphabet community. And so if this thing is put out here, you need to know how it's spread through bodily fluids, direct contact with bodily fluids. And that could even be going to bathrooms and people not washing their hands, people not being clean. That's why I always talk about, you know, making sure you have a lot of hygiene products to take care of yourself, a lot of wound care products so you can close open wounds, and cleaning products in your home so that you can clean and disinfect. We take for granted cleaning, and I know Black people, we had to teach the children of the corn how to clean. So I don't trust nothing when they talk about, oh, you don't have to wash your hands, you don't have to clean. They nasty. They the carriers of disease everywhere. You know how many millions of people they done killed on the earth because they don't care about hygiene and everybody else who's not like them do. So you can't trust the children of the corn when it comes to hygiene. We got to do what we know. You better do what the ancestors have taught us to do. Y'all know we got to be clean, so you be clean. Don't skimp on cleaning. Don't take for granted going into public places and those places and spaces are clean. Especially after this meeting is over and they get all these things in place. We don't know when things are going to be let out in certain places. But I'm gonna let you know if I know. That's one thing. I'm gonna let you know if Harriet Tubman's internet is up and my eyeballs can see and I can read. I'm gonna tell you if something is happening somewhere on this earth that could impact us. So it says the first vaccine for the Ebola virus, which was developed with assistance from the National Institute of whatever this place is, Allergies and Infectious Diseases was approved in the United States in when? 2019. They're already ready for you, y'all. They ready. This vaccine and others can now be used to protect people in high-risk areas or people who have had contact with sick Ebola virus patients. So even if you had contact with these people, you may not have any symptoms, you can get the virus. You can get the solution, just like they did us with the COVID. They're ready. However, these vaccines are not designed to provide protection against Ebola disease caused by other viruses, such as Sudan virus. So they're telling you that these vaccines ain't going to provide protection. So what is they for then? They don't even tell them, they make no sense. I'm going to read this again. The vaccine and others can now be used to protect people in high risk areas or people who had contact with sick Ebola virus patients. People have had contact with sick Ebola virus disease patients. However, the vaccines are not designed to provide protection against Ebola disease caused by other viruses. Okay, such as Sudan virus. In addition, monoclonal antibody treatments for Ebola can improve patient survival. NAID is committed to conducting and supporting research on additional treatments, diagnostics, and preventative measures for these diseases. Oh, that. Oh, thank you. All right. Bible. All right. So we're going to go to prevention. Prevention for Marburg. So the Marburg virus is caused by a group of viruses called Marburg viruses and is a rare type of viral hemorrhagic fever that can cause severe illness in people. Egyptian rosette bats are considered natural hosts for the virus. Why bats always be where these diseases come from? That was the same thing they said in China. They got the same story for everything. And they're always somewhere from someplace else, but we just managed to be getting this stuff. Anyway, when living in or traveling to a region where the viruses are potentially present, there are a number of ways to protect yourself and prevent the spread of these viruses. So, avoid contact with blood and bodily fluids such as urine, feces, saliva, sweat, vomit, breast milk, amniotic fluid, semen, and vaginal fluids of people who are sick. So again, this is why I was telling you, it's very much like how HIV can be transmitted from person to person. Avoid contact with semen from a person who has recovered from the virus until testing shows that the virus is gone from their semen. So this is why it's going to be very important for y'all. Y'all out here living club risk it all. Better cut it out. Avoid contact with items that may have come in contact with an infected person, bloody or body fluids, such as clothes, bedding, needles, and medical equipment, because those things could have bodily fluids on them. So without appropriate cleaning, if you use them without disinfecting them properly, then you could possibly be exposed. So it says avoid funeral or burial practices that involve touching the body of someone who died from suspected or confirmed virus. So y'all remember how when during COVID, when COVID first came out, a lot of people couldn't go to funerals. They couldn't open the caskets. Like it was just a whole lot, the social distancing and all these different things that could possibly come back again if any of these viruses hit the scene here. You could be prevented from having normal funeral practices, which is important to a lot of people, a lot of non-children of the corn people. I won't say that. To a lot of people. A lot of people have specific burial rituals that they engage in, and those, are really important. So if this virus hits the scene, this is what's going to happen. So we need to be, prepared for that. Don't be surprised if that's one of the things that they say you can't do. Although now we find out that it's a bunch of BS, but anywho, anything to control your mind and see if you're going to follow instructions. Avoid contact with Egyptian russet bats and their habits, caves, mines, infested buildings. So if these things come from here, how they get out of the stuff and just get into general populations? And I'm just saying. And non-human primates such as monkeys and chimpanzees, they love to be saying stuff like that. And the blood fluids or raw meat prepared from these of unknown animals. Avoid areas known to be inhabited by fruit bats, such as mines and caves. These prevention methods should be used when living in or traveling to an area experiencing an outbreak with this virus. After returning from an area experiencing an outbreak, people should monitor their health for 21 days and seek medical attention immediately if they develop symptoms of the virus. So the next one I did was the Ebola. So if you go to these pages, they will allow you, they have a button at the top where you can print this information. Make sure when you go, you print and save it as a PDF and put it on your hard drive, because, again, this information could disappear at any time. I'm trying to keep us ahead of the power curve. All right, this is last one. So it says Ebola virus is caused by an infection with one of a group of viruses known as Ebola virus that are found primarily in sub-Saharan Africa. Although Ebola disease is rare, people can get the disease through contact with an infected animal or sick or dead person infected with the Ebola virus. The U.S. Drug and Food Administration has approved the Ebola vaccine for the prevention of Ebola virus. So it says for the prevention. All right. Anywho, it's a lot of stuff on this page. Notice that this was last reviewed September 21st, 2023. I just want to put that out there. And for this Marburg virus information, it was last updated, last reviewed April 19th, 2023. So I just want to show y'all, the timeline for these things. And for this says this content was last reviewed October 7th, 2022. It's supposed to expire on 7/31/2025. Interesting. Anywho, all right, that's the end of this video. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. If you'd like to add to the discussion, please leave your comment in the comment section. Hopefully this video will not be struck down, as I have read medical information cited from government sources and reputable sources respected by the powers. We just gotta make sure that we paying attention. Last thing I wanted to share with you, but I'm not going to share it. I will include this in the description. Is y'all remember we had an outbreak of Ebola during the Obama administration? So I said, I'm not going to read that. It's been in kind of trouble. Anyway, they've been working on this stuff a long time. If you read this article, the U.S. Department of Defense will allocate $500 million for the effort. Some of the funds will be used to construct 17 new treatment centers with 100-bed facilities, 10,000 sets of protective equipment, and supplies to help 400,000 families protect themselves from the epidemic that is spreading exponentially. And this is for Africa. So, West Africa too. Just pay attention to where these viruses hail from. In any event, this is Marley K. Please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification and hit all so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Follow me on Odyssey, Rumble, Instagram, and Facebook. Links are in the description. And support the channel financially. Links for that are also in the description. Keep praying, keep prepping, keep watch, because these folks getting ready to do something, y'all. All right, this is Marley K, and I'm out.